How did a single man save over 600,000 Israelites? Moses was one of the greatest leaders in Christian history. God asked him to free the Israelites from the Egyptian Pharaoh and deliver the 10 Commandments. So how would Moses work with God to complete these awe-inspiring tasks? Moses was born during a turbulent time in Egypt. The Pharaoh was growing increasingly paranoid. He was afraid that the Israelites were planning to ally with his enemies and overthrow his leadership. So, he came up with a brutal way to eliminate this threat. All the male Israelite babies were to be killed. But Moses' mother refused to obey this brutal order, deciding to conceal her baby in a reed basket and send him floating down the Nile River. Moses would be discovered by the daughter of the Pharaoh and raised with royalty. But this life of luxury wouldn't last. Moses discovered a slave owner mistreating a Hebrew slave. Moses' temper got the best of him, killing the slave owner. This would upset the Pharaoh, who ordered his guards to kill Moses. Fleeing from persecution, he headed to the land of Midian. But Moses wouldn't be able to hide for long. While walking, he saw a burning bush. Despite the flames covering the shrub, the leaves remained intact. Then Moses heard the voice of God, speaking through the bush. The Lord commanded Moses to head to Egypt and convince the Pharaoh to let the Israelites go free. But this task would prove more difficult than he expected. At first, the Pharaoh refused to listen to Moses. So God sent 10 plagues to Egypt. As his kingdom crumbled, the Pharaoh was forced to obey Moses' commands. All the Israelites were allowed to go free. However, the temperamental ruler soon changed his mind. Gathering his mighty army, the Pharaoh set out to bring the Israelites back to Egypt. The fleeing Israelites were trapped. On one side, they faced the Red Sea. On the other, the approaching Egyptian army. But Moses wasn't going to back down. Raising his staff, he parted the Red Sea. The Israelites passed safely through the waves, while the Egyptians were drowned. After this epic escape, Moses led his people to the base of Mount Sinai, where they made camp. On the third day, thunder and lightning swirled around the top of the mountain. Then, the voice of God called out to Moses, asking the leader to meet him on top of Mount Sinai. After 40 days and nights, he returned to his people bearing the 10 Commandments. Moses' final task was to lead his people to the Promised Land. But tragedy would strike before he could complete this mission. At the age of 120, Moses would die within sight of the Promised Land.